That little piece of beef looks really good, right? I'm gonna teach you how to make that today. Neighbors, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna do beef suyuk. Suyuk in Korean generally refers to pork, and it's like it's boiled, like a pork belly or other cuts of pork are boiled for a long time, and then it's cut into thin strips. Today we're gonna do it with beef. This beef version, you'll see it in like higher end Hanshik restaurants, Korean restaurants, but it's pretty expensive. But there are little tips and tricks that you need to do to keep that piece of brisket very juicy, and then also to slice it very thinly. And then today, we're gonna take it up a notch, and we're gonna put together a natural broth that you can spread it over. This is like wonderful if you're like to have, like invite friends and you like to drink, let's say, some artisan beers, and you know, if you're taking shots of like vodka and getting lit, this is probably not the dish. But you know, if you want to have a little bit more sophisticated night and you know, enjoy conversation with good food, this is a great anju dish. All right, let me break it down for you, and I hope you try this at home. All right, fill a large pot with some cold water. The redness in the meat, or that juice right here, that's actually not blood. It's a protein called myoglobin. And if we remove that, we lower that iron, that gamey taste in the meat. So I would recommend between 400 to 500 grams of brisket. In Korea, that's called yangji. This one was very expensive. This one is Hanwoo, 1++ grade. For this dish, since this is all about the meat, get a good quality, some marbling in the beef. This is cold water, dunk it in here. This one is from a different producer, I think a lower grade, but I want to taste the difference. And then very simple, we're gonna just let this sit in this cold water for anywhere between 30 minutes to 1 hour, so all of that irony taste can come out of the meat and into the water. Okay. All right, and neighbors, take a look. After 30 minutes, you can see a lot of the red. We're gonna empty this out. And then a key step here is we're gonna add this meat when the water is boiling. And then find a suitable pot that has a matching lid, because you know, just like rice at the end, you let it just sit in the pot to become nice and soft. Same thing with the meat. After we give it a hard boil, we're gonna just let it sit in that broth. To build a broth, we're gonna work with about 1 liter of water. I'm gonna start off with some Korean radish, the width about the second crease in your pinky finger, and then I want you to cut it in half, and this moon shape should be around 150 to 200 grams. That's how much we need. Then we're gonna use half an onion, then around 4 cloves of garlic, then a stalk of spring onion, of course, forearm length, and just chop this in half because it's big. 3 or 4 bay leaves, and then a half teaspoon, small tea, of whole black pepper. Now again, if that Korean radish is hard to find, just skip it, it's fine, okay? All right guys, let's bring this up to a boil.
Okay, so I've come for a halftime check.
Halftime check.
How is it going?
It's not even halftime, but you came at a great time, Katie. Once the broth starts boiling, we're going to add in our meat pieces. Katie, you want to help?
Sure.
You want to add that in, all of them? 2. Oh, 냄새 좋아. 3.
And 4.
4. 조금 눌러줘야지. Put that in. Okay. Very good. Nice contribution.
Gone.
Later, she's going to say that that was the most important step. Wait until it comes back up to a roaring boil. Now it's coming back up to a rapid boil. We're going to reduce the heat now to a low. We want a gentle simmer. Then I want 50분, 50 minutos, stato. Now after around 15 minutes, I want you to take out that spring onion stalk, because if you boil that for too long, it starts tasting a little bit bitter. You know, to make it look fanciful, oftentimes going simple is the best way. We have some green onions. I think 3 or 4 should be enough. Just trim off the ends that have been in the dirt. Then pieces like that should be fine. We can use this as one topping. So we're going to use a packet of 팽이버섯, also known as inaki mushrooms. We only need about 1/3 of a bundle. And then for plating purposes, if you want to make it look pretty, we'll cut right around here. All right, very nice. We're gonna make a little dipping sauce that you can pick up one of the small suyuk slices and dip into. It's gonna taste delicious. I'm gonna use tablespoon. If you're gonna just cook this for yourself, if it's a party of 1, switch to teaspoon. 5 tablespoons of soy sauce. 5. Half tablespoon of sugar. 1 tablespoon of vinegar. You can use any type of vinegar. I'm using rice vinegar. And then we're gonna use 1 tablespoon of yeonggeoja. This is hot mustard. You know those packets that you get at Chinese takeout, those yellow ones? And then we're gonna put in some broth. You can put it in later. I'm gonna just put it now. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. It's been about 15 minutes anyway, so we can do 2 things at once. Let's take out the spring onion. Give this a little stir. And then we're gonna just take about a soup ladle's worth of broth. Again, you can do this right before you serve too, no problem. Maybe a little bit more. 5 tablespoons of broth. 1, 5. To this, we need some vegetables. Let's chop up like a fourth of an onion. And then just a little bit of spring onions as well. Cut into the 4 pieces. Fine chops. Let's give this a little mix. Get that hot mustard mix. Then let's add in our fresh vegetables, which should give it a nice lift. All right, and that's gonna be enough sauce for 3 or 4 people. Let's give this a little taste. I want a tad bit more sweetness. And just add a dash more sugar. It's gonna be fire. Minutes. All right, my friends, that's exactly 50 minutes. And what we want to do is turn off the heat. Just like rice at the end, when you just let it sit in the pot to steam, we're going to let those chunks of brisket just sit in that residual heat, and then it's going to remain juicy and tender as we cook. 20 minutes. While you're waiting, I want you to grab a few paper towels and then just put them on a cutting board. We're going to take them out of the pot. We're going to set them down, and then we're going to put another layer of paper towel on top, and then something heavy. Putting something heavy on top, it firms up the meat. That way it's easier to cut and it stays in shape. Right, that 20 minutes is up. What we're going to do, I'm going to take the meat pieces out, put it on here. I'm going to put another paper towel on top, then something heavy. I'm going to put a little extra weight on here. Now back to the broth. I'm going to turn on the heat just a little bit. So let's take out everything. Make sure you get all the black pepper pieces. Let's give this a little taste just to see where we're at. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. We're gonna have more than enough, so save some of this. Make mandukguk, make any sort of Korean base. You can even use this as a base for ramen. Anyway, but we're gonna season this. I would start with just about 1 tablespoon of soy sauce as base flavoring, and then maybe just a pinch of salt. Okay, 1 or 2 pinches. Take a look at that. It's amazing beef broth flavor right there. All right, it's been around 10 minutes. We'll lift these babies up. Wow, this looks beautiful, and I could tell it's gonna be juicy inside. You see all that little juices coming out? Now for this to be tender, we wanna cut against the grain. You see how the grain's going like that? We wanna cut like that, right? It's perpendicular. Grain's going this way, we wanna cut like that. In this case, it's going down this way, so we'll cut this in half, flip it around, and go against the grain, okay? To trim off so it looks like a rectangle, makes the pieces look better. Maybe I'll cut it off there. Take a look at that midsection there. We're gonna cut this into thin pieces. Beautiful. Beautiful. This big piece for the chef. Chop off the end piece against the grain. Against the grain. Then I want you to neatly arrange our meat pieces so that they're under each other. Our enoki mushrooms, and then our greens. Then I'm gonna just simply tidy up our edges. And guys, take a look at that. That looks amazing right here. Now we're not done yet. We have a little bit of our broth. Let's heat that up.
Never seen a suyuk with beef.
I know a lot of people don't know. Oh, Katie, we need a little bit of the makgeolli.
Oh,
Don't forget the sauce, because the suyuk, that beef, this has no seasoning in it. There's no salt, no nothing. It's just been boiled in that broth. So this dipping sauce is necessary. Guys, we're gonna grab a little bit of our broth.
this is such an exquisite dish.
We're going to moisten it back up with its natural juices.
촉촉하게.
그치. Wait a bit, we need a little bit more.
Yes, I think so.
Go
I
over
mean,
the
how
top.
can this not taste good?
I know, it's very fancy.
I know.
I want a little bit of broth so that it's in the middle, sitting.
I think we need to have some guests come over.
Oh no. We're just cooking for ourselves.
Maybe some sesame seeds?
No sesame seeds, please. And then we want some hotness over our vegetables because these are raw. Just a little bit of heat will make them cook through because this is hot, right? And neighbors, there it is. This is something special. Come here, let's give it a try. I'm so excited. I bought the 일뚝불. I made a little bit of fat in between, all flavor.
Dip it there.
And you grab, you dip like that.
How does the sauce taste like?
Like heaven. Let's give it a taste. Oh my gosh, I'm spilling.
Good.
입에서 그냥 녹은다. Could you imagine if we went over to a friend's place and they whipped this out?
Wow.
We would get drunk so fast, the amount of liquor that would go
Where's
in.
our liquor?
I know, I was asking you. Now I'm making a mess, but grab some of the mushrooms, the pa, or the spring onion, or the green onions, and then
Oh, 그렇게 먹을 거야.
대박 맛있어.
I mean, that sauce is really good too.
Lately, we've been trying out new styles of makgeolli. This one is
연한데 이 소스랑 이렇게 하니까 it's perfect.
cheers.
Cheers with two hands.
Oh, we have to go climbing later. It's all right. Drunken climbing, a little bit more.
어, 그러게.
It's fine. It's we like you. So neighbors, if we ever get to meet you in person and you come over to our place and we actually make you this, that means we really like you. If you're not in our happy list, then we're gonna give you the old school ajumma anju, which is this Ziploc full of 땅콩,
땅콩,
peanuts,
walnut, the old school candies.
some dried squid.
There's some dried squid too.
It's-
This is what my relatives gave me when I went to their wedding last week.
I think she just pulled trash out of her car for us to take.
And
But
then guess what? We haven't even opened it.
that's right. That's right. You know, it's just so neighbors. Korea has like a long tradition of boiling meats. You know, this 양지 is also the same beef that we use, that we shred and we put as toppings on 떡국 or mandukguk, right? So a lot of times the beef is like a little topping, but if you want to make anju, make it the main. We got to make the little sauce on the side, and it's a little.
소스를 너무 많이 넣었어.
You got a chunk of the hot mustard. Have fun with it, guys. There's different ways to do meat, and this is one of them that maybe it's worth trying for y'all. All right, adios.
Bye.